All righty. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good Sunday. Hope everybody's having a great day. Decided I'd go and give you guys an afternoon update here on what's going to be a very active weather day. We've really got two different things we're watching, one on the East Coast and what could be a major, what we call a derecho, a big event in the middle of the country. Now, before we get going into all the details on this, if you're just coming into this after the live update, if you could please do me the favor, do me the pleasure, please hit that subscribe button if you can. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future whenever I do these live updates and whenever we do our live wall-to-wall coverage. All right, so what we got to deal with here for today, we got a couple areas. We just had a new tornado watch that just got issued out here for areas up here across the mid-Atlantic. We've got that. And then we're watching some energy that's going to come out of the Colorado area into Oklahoma and Texas, and we'll be watching this zone going into tonight. That's where the big bullseye is going to be for what could be a major event for tonight. Now, you guys who've watched me enough know that I don't go over the top and go crazy with weather scenarios. But with this one, I got to say, here the worst case scenario is this. We could be looking at 80 to 100 mile per hour winds and hail 3 to 5 inches in size. Now, that definitely could do some significant damage. Derecho, I sometimes like to refer to it as almost like a land hurricane. These are a very big cluster of thunderstorms that feed off each other, and we've got some pretty good strong winds at about 30,000 feet as this thing moves on in. So we got plenty of heat for these storms to feed off. So, you know, a typical good severe thunderstorm, we can go 50, 60,000 feet. So we can punch right through 30,000 feet very easily. And there's some winds at that level that could be looking at about, 90, 95 miles per hour. So that 80 to 100 mile per hour possibility is definitely there for today. So let's go ahead and look at the latest. This is the latest update here from the Storm Prediction Center. I want to go ahead and break down a category. Obviously, you've got the slight risk here on the East Coast. We do have the tornado watches up here across Maryland, and we have some storms that are exiting off the eastern seaboard there across the Carolinas, and you got the marginal risk there. Then we got this big old pocket here. This is going to be for later tonight as things get cranking. This is where all the storm chasers are going to be out here and looking at for today. Now, for a derecho, typically it's not a huge tornado event. Not to say that you can't get some. We do have that in that brown area running about 5%, but it's not typically a big tornado event. There's maybe a few isolated ones here and there. It's mostly known for its wind, and boy, do we have a big bullseye here. Again, look at that purple right there. Again, we got, running about 15% along the East Coast, but there's a big bullseye here in the middle of the country here. So we're talking Wichita Falls and getting into the Dallas metroplex area here. And so we're talking about something happening, probably heading toward the morning, heading into the evening hours here for tonight, if the models are showing correctly here. So hopefully folks have been hearing a lot of the activity on social media where their local meteorologists are all getting ready for this, as this is going to be a significant thing, obviously with the wind. And then the other part of this, obviously, is going to be the hail. There's a big bullseye here as well. And again, what the Storm Prediction Center is saying out on their discussion is 3 to 5 inch hail. So we're talking bigger than softball size hail possibility with some of these storms as they begin to move on out and develop here. They're going to start up here toward the northwest, basically up near where Colorado and Oklahoma and Texas are, and they're going to start moving in this general direction and this way. Okay, now this is going to be important in two ways, all right? So you got this for today, and how this thing develops is going to dictate on how things are going to turn out for tomorrow. So this is for the rest of today, and this is the day 2 outlook for tomorrow. Now, right now, this is just all a slight risk here. But again, depending on how the storms develop, it will not shock me if we see some portion of this level here across Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, maybe get up to an enhanced area for tomorrow. Wouldn't shock me, we'll see. But it really is going to develop on how this situation develops here for tonight with the storm as it moves on by. So I do want to give you guys the latest model data on this here and kind of bring you up to speed on what's going on. Okay, so this is the latest high resolution model, hot off the presses here. Let me get this up for you right now. Here it is right here. And again, we're going to be watching this target zone up here. Now, obviously, again, we do have some storms on the West Coast. I don't want to forget these folks over here, obviously up here into areas of, say, the mid-Atlantic. So you're going to get some isolated severe weather, maybe some isolated tornadoes. You do have the tornado watch up that way, but really the big bread and butter event is going to be back here across the plains. So by 4 o'clock, you're kind of getting the idea. You're seeing these storms starting to develop there across the Oklahoma Panhandle. And as this thing starts firing off there towards 6 o'clock, this thing starts to get itself together. So by 7 o'clock, you got a pretty good cluster of storms there across portions of Texas at that time. So I'm going to go in a little bit closer here and kind of watch this. Watch that timestamp. There's a timestamp up here in the right-hand corner as we go through this time period. There's 8 o'clock, And there's 9 o'clock, getting close to Oklahoma City and getting in toward the Wichita Falls area as we head toward 10 o'clock. So we're looking at a multicellular cluster of severe thunderstorms. There's a little cold pocket here as it moves in, and we got a tremendous amount of fuel for these things to feed off. We call it CAPE. I'm going to show you that here in a second to kind of illustrate this point. So you got this moving on here at 10 o'clock, and it's moving on to the south. And then look at this. It's getting into the Dallas area by midnight, 1 in the morning. You want to talk about just a nasty timing on this. It's a strong cluster of severe weather. We're talking some major power outages, as we're saying. All along this path, there's going to be some major power outages as this thing moves from the northwest to the southeast. And then this thing will begin to move on into East Texas, and then eventually move in toward Louisiana and into Arkansas as we go toward going in toward tomorrow morning. So this thing starts to move off this way, what's left of it. Then we got to watch how this thing develops here going throughout the day for tomorrow as it'll impact the southeast. Now, again, there's a couple of ingredients we're watching with this. Again, a tremendous amount of CAPE. So, most unstable. We call it the muck CAPE, the MU CAPE, most unstable CAPE. And when you see a purple on a map like this, you know you got a lot of fuel. Think of it as octane gas for thunderstorms, okay? And we got temperatures in this area already into the 90s, so we got plenty of fuel here. I even see a bullseye here showing like 5,000. So again, just a lot of energy in this area. So we got the fuel. The other ingredient to this is going to be the wind. We've got a very decent jet stream here. This is at 30,000 feet, 300 millibars, and we're seeing winds here close to 90 knots. So that's getting close to 100 miles per hour, about 96, 97 miles per hour. So we get some very strong winds blowing across North Texas while we had that complex of thunderstorms starting to ride on down through the Texas Panhandle and through southern Oklahoma and in through northern Texas. So again, the ingredients there, we got fuel. We've got a cool little upper level core that's kind of jumping on down, that's adding to that instability. And we've definitely got the matches that's going to get lit here as we head toward late this afternoon and going into the early evening hours, and then watch this cluster of storms move into that direction, moving toward Dallas around midnight or just after. Again, very bad timing. I hope folks have their weather radios like this one, have their Midland radios definitely ready to go for tonight. You definitely want to make sure you have that to go. So that is what's going to happen with that. I do want to go ahead and take this a step further. So I'm going to go back over here to the high resolution model again. I'm going to push this out to the latest long range here. We're going to go back to the 12Z. The 18Z will be chewing here very shortly. But this is the snapshot at 7 o'clock in the morning. Then we got to watch as this thing slides into the southeast for tomorrow. So I know I got a lot of my viewers are in the southeast. So I want you all to pay attention to this. So by the time we head toward 11 o'clock, we're looking at a line of storms coming through Mississippi, Alabama, in there. And this cluster is going to get more invigorated here. We get that daytime heating starts going here. And as we head toward 6 o'clock, you're looking at a pretty good cluster of storms here, sliding through Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama, and into Georgia here as we go toward tomorrow evening. So again, that's the timing on this next. Whatever's left of this derecho, what part of this MCS will move into the southeast, and that'll bring that rough weather there. So this will be going into your day 2 outlook for tomorrow. So again, let me show you that once again. Go back over to that. Stand by. Here we go, right here. So again, you've got that yellow bullseye right through there, and we'll have to deal with that for tomorrow. Again, tornado risk not running high with that for this particular thing, but it will be up there with the wind. The wind's going to be higher in this, and again, will not shock me in the least if we see some part of that yellow area get upgraded to an enhanced area for tomorrow, just like we saw yesterday across the southeast. Will not shock me in the least. So again, let's look back at that surface map right now as we've got the active weather going on off the East Coast. We've got the stuff going on in the Mid-Atlantic, and we got stuff going on back there in Texas. I want to take a look around a little bit here. Now, so far today, we've had about 35 wind damage reports. Of course, we had a little cluster of storms here kind of going off South Carolina here this morning. Got a couple here back in Texas, but not looking too bad so far. We had close to 400 reports yesterday. We'll probably be well over that heading in for tonight as a lot of this stuff gets fired up and gets going in here for tonight. So again, let me go back over here to Radar Omega here a little bit. We'll just kind of highlight a couple things that are kind of going on currently out there. And you kind of see what's going on. Again, you got this nice little cluster of thunderstorms here going off the North Carolina coast here. You got numerous severe thunderstorm warnings here along the coast. But this will be moving on out in the Atlantic, and we'll see things begin to improve here as we go in for today right now. Now, other areas we got severe weather. We've got another one here back over toward Alabama. These are kind of your air mass thunderstorms. You got temperatures pretty warm here into the upper 80s and 90s. So you got a warning there across central Alabama. Got another one down here toward Florida, down there to the southeast of Tallahassee. And then, of course, we got to watch what's going on out here toward the west. And right now, Nothing showing out there, but I do see the storm chasers are out here. We got a couple of warnings up here in the northern portion of Texas. So this right here, I believe this right here that we're currently seeing out here right now, this, my friends, is the initial development of what will probably be a big derecho event, or MCS. Now, like I said, there's a difference between a derecho and an MCS. Derecho, again, get you those 80 to 100 mile per hour winds, that 3 to 5 inch hail. Really, MCS is just a little bit not quite as strong, kind of its little brother, shall we say, to a derecho. What we had across the southeast yesterday, for example, was a typical MCS that we had going through the southeast, and this one could be far worse. I am noticing that the storm chasers, a lot of them are sitting right down here. You can't help but notice that they're all sitting right down in this area, waiting for this thing to get going and get going here across Texas and Oklahoma, and they're going to follow this stuff here for tonight, and hopefully those guys will be safe because this thing will really start get going, especially as we head into the nighttime hours here. So I know the big channels are going to be up and going. I'll be broadcasting for the big event, the derecho event for tonight. I will leave that to them to cover for tonight, but yours truly will be back on for the southeast for tomorrow. Time to be determined. I will have another update for you guys in the morning, once again about 8:30 in the morning, and then we'll go ahead and take a look and see what happens here for tomorrow. So again, kind of recapping once again what we got here for today. Again, we're watching the big development of a possible derecho developing up here across the extreme northwestern portions of Texas. Riding on down here, and we've got clusters of severe across the mid-Atlantic and the southeast to watch. All right, that's y'all's update for today. Appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel. Stay tuned, stay